Chair of Germantown Special Services District. I'm happy to have everyone here this evening. Okay, you have the agenda. For those of you who don't, the agenda is on the table. I think there's a couple more, one left. And then what we'll do, we're going to go through the agenda. We have questions. We're going to do similar to the last meeting and just go around and just get questions in an orderly fashion. So it's good to have everyone here. We're going to do a roll call.
Jupiter Mason.
Here.
Cornelia Swenson.
Here.
Janya Daniels. Janya's on the call.
Janya? Janya?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Angela.
Present?
Charles. Here. And Ingrid.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay, the next order is to review and accept the minutes from January, should be February.
February.
Okay, there's a mistake on the agenda. Should be February's minutes that we're gonna review. From February's meeting. So we'll just take a few minutes to do that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think there's a mistake.
Aye.
It says total income 22,000, total expenses 24,000, with a net income of 1,700.
What do you review?
Under the treasurer's report. On the minutes.
Net
It's
income
not
minus?
reviewing the minutes.
Oh,
I think it should be a loss.
Yeah, there's a minus.
There is a, yeah, there's a negative sum.
in front.
Under net income, it's a negative
and
sum.
then Kim will take.
Oh, it is a negative, okay.
We'll take public comments in the end. Okay, so we're gonna move on to new business. Resolution to adopt, revise the 5-year plan, budget, district boundaries. I'm gonna have Angela just speak on the process before we go into vote on the resolution.
Thanks, Shakira.
Uh-huh.
So the Germantown Special Services District is governed under the Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Act. So every 5 years, any municipal, any entity that operates under this law has to be reauthorized. So after the mailing, so we're in the process of gearing up for the mailing to send out to all affected property owners and business owners. That's going to be sent out within the next week. And then the public hearing has been scheduled, which we'll see here on the agenda. And then after the public hearing, we go into a 45-day objection period. And that period ends on June 8th, Saturday, June 8th, at which point a bill and a resolution will be introduced in City Council, get passed by Council. Well, actually, no, let me back up a second. Once it's introduced, it has to go to a Rules Committee and then get voted out of rules, and that takes a few weeks. And then it will be voted on by the full City Council, and yeah, so that's the process.
Okay, leave the resolution.
Christina, are you allowing questions from the audience, or is that just at the end?
At the end, please.
Is that?
At the end, please. Yeah,
Even if we don't
definitely-
understand something?
We can take it in the end. We want to get through the agenda. We will answer questions.
Just by way of information, the revised plan is the same plan that the board discussed at the January meeting. The plan, the budget, and the boundaries. At that meeting, we discussed the district boundaries. We removed the expansion area and narrowed the confines to the current makeup of the district. Also, the budget was revised down to also reflect the current parameters of the district. And there weren't any other significant changes to the plan.
Is there a copy of the budget?
Any questions from the board?
They'll find it. There are copies up here for everything.
One other thing by way of information. So all business and property owners will receive a mailing. In that mailing, it will include a copy of the revised plan, the boundaries of the district, a copy of the budget, the 5-year budget, and it'll include a map of the district as well. It's also going to include the hearing notice. The hearing is scheduled for Wednesday, April 24th. We have a window of 3:00 p.m. to 6 p.m. to accommodate folks that are getting off from work, as well as closing their business for the evening, to allow a window of opportunity for as many folks to come in and register their support and/or opposition as possible. It'll be important to note, it's also going to be included in the hearing notice. Support and/or opposition to reauthorization needs to be registered with the clerk of city council as well as with the GSSD office. So there are 2 letters that have to be sent, one to GSSD and one to the clerk of city council. That's all, Madam Chair.
Okay. So Board Resolution 008-2018, whereas the Germantown Special Services District shall continue to operate and provide services to the commercial corridor, whereas the ability to operate and collect assessment has been ground to a halt, whereas the current interim board chair and interim executive director have made many efforts to work with the City Department of Commerce to revise the reauthorization plan, budget, and district boundaries. Whereas the authority and ability to operate under the PA Municipal Authority Act shall be needed for the Germantown Special Services District to function. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District hereby agrees to the revised reauthorization plan as prepared by the interim executive director, see attached. It also hereby submits the plan to the mayor and 8th District Council office to be drafted as an ordinance and subject to City Council of Philadelphia proceedings, deliberation, and approval.
Motion to approve Board Resolution 008-2018.
So moved. Who's the second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We just heard one aye.
Aye.
Sorry, aye.
Okay.
Aye,
All right, thank you.
and Danya.
Okay, moving on to Resolution 009-2018. Resolution to hold public hearing on reauthorization plan scheduled for April 24, 2019 from 3:00 p.m. to 6:00 p.m. at First Presbyterian Church of Germantown, 35 West Shelton Avenue, Finney Road. I'll just read the first part. Whereas the Germantown Special Services District shall continue to operate and provide services to the commercial corridor, whereas the ability to operate and collect assessments is essential to its ability to function, whereas the Municipal Authorities Act requires a public hearing to inform the impacted business and property owners about the Special Services District and provide a mechanism for registered support and/or opposition. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District hereby agrees to host its public hearing on reauthorization on April 24, 2019, and publish the hearing notice listed below. So there's a public hearing, notice of public hearing. In accordance with the Municipality Authorities Act, the Act, The Germantown Special Services District has developed the enclosed plan for business improvements and administrative services as required by the Act. A public hearing on the proposed improvements, services, estimated costs, and method of assessment contained within the plan has been scheduled as follows. 3:00 p.m. to 6:00 p.m. Wednesday, April 24th, 2019. First Presbyterian Church of Germantown, 35 West Shelton Avenue, Finney, Room, Philadelphia, PA 19144. The boundaries of the Germantown Special Services District are outlined within the enclosed plan and are listed on the organization's website, www.germantownsssd.com/reauthorization. Information was mailed to all the affected commercial property, will be mailed to all the affected property owners. That's going to be switched, this week. The authority shall take no action on proposed improvements or services if objection is made in writing by persons representing the ownership of 1/3 of the benefited properties in the district, or by property owners of the proposed district whose property valuation as assessed for taxable purposes shall amount to more than 1/3 of the total property valuation of the district. There's more. Objection shall be made within 45 days after the conclusion of the public hearing. Objections must be in writing, signed, and filed with the Clerk of City Council, Room 402, City Hall, Philadelphia, PA 19107, and with the Germantown Special Services District, excuse me, 57 Maplewood Mall, first floor, Philadelphia, PA 19144. Note that single-family properties exclusively used for residential purposes shall be exempt from the GSSD assessment. Any motion?
Motion to accept the resolution.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Last resolution, 010-2018. Where, you good? Okay. Whereas the Germantown Special Services District shall continue to operate and provide services to the commercial corridor. Whereas the ability to operate and collect assessment has been restored after settling up a new checking and savings account with Philadelphia Federal Credit Union. Whereas the current and most recently used Citizen Bank is no longer in use and will eventually incur fees. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District hereby grants authority to close the Citizens Bank checking and payroll bank accounts. It also grants authority to settle any discrepancies with the account before it closed and secure all past statements to be archived for audit purposes. Motion, please.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There's a couple of chairs up front, and if you have a bag or paper on the chair, could you let someone sit down? Did you want to sit? Okay, the next order on the agenda is the treasurer's report. So just to update everyone, we are working with Pyramid Accounting Solutions. Right today, we just have the profit and loss statement. Aaliyah Evans is the accountant that we've been working with, and she's been present at the meeting. She's not able to be here this evening. We have our regular expenses. The big items I think to point out is that we were able to make, arrangements with one of the property owners, actually more than one, but one significant property owner that was in arrears for a large amount. And that arrangement is, well, there was a settlement that person was able to make a down payment and will continue to make monthly payments. In addition to that, we did receive a couple of, not as many, for what Jamar did, I would say about 2 months ago or so, was sent out the top 20 accounts that were in arrears that totaled over $100,000, and had sent out those letters to these individuals, and some people have been responding. As we said, we did get one that responded and made a down payment, and now is making monthly payments. So that's pretty significant. Other things that we were able to bring the rent up to date, and that's later on in the agenda when we talk about office space. Other things to note is that the account in the Philadelphia Credit Union is cash positive. When you're able to see the $4,442 less expense for the rent payment that we just put up. So I don't know if there are questions from the board about the statement. And as the resolution indicated, we're closing the citizens account because we're incurring fees. And we're going to stick with the Philadelphia Credit Union, which is significantly less fees. Initially, in one of the board meetings, we talked about PNC, but we had some difficulties with getting PNC to respond. So we are going with the Philadelphia Credit Union. Any questions from board members? Okay. So I need a motion, please.
Motion,
Nothing else.
motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, so our next order of business is the cleaning update. So as some of you or most of you know, because of kind of where we are, there's been some difficulties with the cleaning. But in recent weeks, I would say we have had support from the Friends of Germantown Northwest LLC, and Keith Shank is here as a representative of that group. Cleaning has been occurring consistently, not at the level where we were before, but on some levels in areas a little bit more, and in some areas not as much. So I have Keith just coming up for 5 minutes to just kind of go over that.
Good evening, everyone. Germantown community.
Good evening.
So this statement is a public statement, it's a diligence report, because our efforts have been sponsored by the Activities Fund and private donations on behalf of GSSD. So we started for about a 3-week interim period, and then we did a 10-week cycle. So outside of that, I won't answer questions because I'm not authorized by the owner of Friends of Germantown Northwest to do so. Unless it's an email or a mailing address, and then I'll send you a PDF report. So that is going to be our position about questions. Okay. So we're going to speak about the 10-week cycle. So that involves 8 metric tons of trash which we moved out of Germantown in the district. Okay, so it's not shocking, it's just the winter deep cleaning, that's the nature of the business itself. So that involves street sweeping, trash removal, curb and curbside cleaning. That's deep cleaning. Everybody knows that we have that Pennsylvania bluestone. Well, the only way to get in between that cobblestone is to use an unorthodox method. So we're raking it, we're doing deep cleaning, we're hauling that trash out. Sometimes it's frozen, it actually has the nature of its own, it actually almost turns into cardboard. We pulled 2 tons of trash out of Green Street XH bus stop alone, because that turns into like a dachi. It is like a 4x6x9, so it's almost like having side. We also did deep cleaning behind that. We also cleaned all of the historic district, so that involves like our major institutional players like TFS and Gaffney's, and everybody's equally represented in that effort. But that's the level of cleaning and deep cleaning that normally wouldn't happen in the winter time. We pulled, just recently on President's Day, we pulled 1.5 tons of trash out of Maplewood Mall. Our last cleanup day was effective today, so we had 2 groups that came out and covered the area today effectively. So when you get a recent update report like that, you won't just look at a photo narrative and be shocked. There's trash people that's going to be out there. We were able to look at monitoring the use of the trash cans themselves. Some of it is about 15 to 20% of use, because some people are just looking at opportunity to put a lot of rich materials in it. Our diligence is also involved emptying those trash cans uninterrupted for 10 weeks. We're in the 10th week now. The trash was pulled for trash day today. So we're also using workforce development, so we're compensating youth that are coming in out of the transitional program of the Covenant House itself. So they have work. We have not paid anyone less than $13.25. So we're looking at their ability with their job skills to even match like $20 and $25 in center place like that. So we have a standard for Germantown, and it involves that level of services. So that's really that's the cost breakdown. All the equipment is, we're picking up and carrying all the expense for the supplies, the bags. So we're getting feedback and support from Pick Panel and local shopkeepers like that. So the community is recognizing that. We've had conversations. We hope in the future to put a ledger in some of the shops. We know where the high volume areas are. You're going to see that it's nature. So you're going to see swoon areas at Olympia Sports. You're going to see leaves and a swirl of trash on any given occasion, but we come in and we get it up. So if that's what you're talking about when you're talking about trash removal, so we want to get to the point where we're dealing with just litter. So we're not talking about the social condition of blight, and we've got to stop that narrative in Germantown right now. Things are turning around and they're headed in a positive direction. Thank you.
Okay, staffing update. Okay, you have an email. I'll start with the biggest news, is that our wonderful Jamar, effective on the March 14th, Jamar, who is serving as the interim director of the GSSD, will be transitioning from his current full-time role to that of a consultant for a couple of months. In his role, Jamar will continue to support the organization for several months, and at which point GSSD will consider options for staffing as we move forward. We're excited to keep Jamar on board in this new capacity. And Jamar, he has been, and you are quite an invaluable resource to the organization, and we're deeply appreciative of everything you've done and continue to do. Thank you. So he'll be moving on to greener pasture. I don't know if it's greener pastures, but he will be
It's a good
working with
opportunity.
us. It's a great opportunity. We're happy for you. But again, Jamar was as in a consulting role, and I think this will give us an opportunity as an organization to really evaluate the model for staffing under the circumstances. So thank you again. Also, just a couple of updates. We mentioned in the last meeting that Joe Mead is not on the board. I don't know if it was mentioned during the meeting itself. Yes. And then Dan Connor also resigned from the board.
Oh,
Yeah. And the board has also asked for Ingrid Shepherd's resignation from the board. So that's the staffing update. We're going to go to old business.
Just by way of information, the top 20 delinquent accounts that you mentioned earlier, those that have not made settlement and or made arrangements, those accounts have gone to our delinquent collection firm that we engage the services of. And we'll have an update for the board at the next meeting about how that process is going. He'll be filing liens for the delinquent accounts, and then after the lien process is complete, those accounts will be going to collections.
Okay. All right, so moving on to the nominating. So first of all, I do want to acknowledge the people that were on the nominating advisory committee. There were a number of people on the committee, some of them are in the room, so thank you very much. You can kind of wave your hand and folks can see who you were on that committee. So we had a nominating advisory committee, I want to thank them, and certainly want to thank Dan. He was the board representative on that committee. And the committee operated in an advisory capacity where they made recommendation to the board. And the next step for the board is to consider those recommendations. As we, I think we were kind of talking about the process a little bit. Just to remind everybody about the process, once the board has had an opportunity to review those recommendations, those will, then we vote on the slate, and that goes on to the councilwoman office, and from there.
And then what happens is that we have to introduce a resolution for each of the candidates in city council, and then they have to pass it, and then they will be on the board.
Okay, so at this point, you all have a list, I think that someone passed out. One of the things I want to say, I'm not on that Facebook page any longer, so I didn't see the post. But we did ask for confidentiality in this advisory capacity because there were some people who submitted their resume who didn't really want to be, known. At that point, they just were submitting their resume. And I know that kind of got posted, and that wasn't supposed to happen. So on behalf of GSSD, I just want people to be aware of that, because individuals, some, not all, when they submitted, felt that they was done in confidentiality until we got to the public process, where then we would kind of state those names. So in light of that, and also with Dan, who would have brought the list to the committee, and we would have a chance to discuss. As a board, we are going to call a special meeting, which we have the date. We need 2 additional weeks to review this list, to kind of talk to one another, have a meeting, and then we're calling a public meeting, which will be posted, to review the slate of candidates and to vote. And that public meeting date is scheduled for Saturday, the 30th of March, and it's from, I have a long time here.
What's the date?
Saturday, March 30th. I'm sorry, did I say the 3rd? Yeah, the 30th, okay. Saturday, March 30th at 11 a.m. Right now, I have reached out to Joseph E. Coleman, the library, to speak to Ms. Manker over there, the librarian, to get an okay, but unfortunately, I had reached her after 5. So she has an email. Once we hear back that that's okay to meet, we will confirm. And I'm hoping we can do this by tomorrow. So that meeting would just be on the 30th, and that'll give us an opportunity. The board will be meeting separately again to review all of the names, and then to kind of talk, and then the 30th meeting is a public meeting. Everyone's invited. It'll be posted appropriately in the newspaper, because it is a special meeting.
As well as our website.
As well as the website. Okay. Director's report.
I mentioned the assessments. We do also have a positive cash balance, as you mentioned, thanks to payment arrangements that were set up with a property owner with a significant arrears. We're also still seeking payment arrangements with others before the actual liens are filed. So there's still hope. If someone in here is a delinquent assessment carrier, please pay up. Or please rather settle your account. We want everyone to settle their accounts. We discussed street cleaning. GoNorthwest.com. There was a question, is that website active? It's definitely active. And we're able to send them content to post. So I would say particularly for our business owners, we want to know what you have going on. If you have some spring specials or anything significant that we could post to the website and help drive traffic to Germantown, we want to know about that. We don't want all of the hits to be for East Falls and Manayunk and Chestnut Hill and everywhere but Germantown. So if you have content on what is happening at your shop or your business in Germantown, please let us know so that we can get some content from Germantown on that website. And again, we, as a part of our marketing budget, we have a financial stake in the GoNorthwest.com website. It is a platform to market and advertise Germantown, as well as greater Northwest businesses. Lastly, spring cleanup is going to be April 6th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. And there were no meetings in the last couple of days. Oh, well, I mean, obviously I went to the Clean, Safe, and Beautification Committee meeting and the Communications and Outreach, which are both going to be coming up next.
Oh, well, we do have a flyer.
For this one.
You want to talk about that?
Yes, at our last meeting, it's in the minutes, that, what we decided to do that day. But obviously, this will be, I believe this will be our 4th year participating in the Philly Spring Cleanup. We're gonna have a breakfast, at Mastery Charter School for students. Mastery Charter, Germantown Friends School students, and Green Street students, and any student in the community that's interested in learning about the environment. So Keep Philadelphia Beautiful will do the education session at 9:30. And then at 10:30, there will be a student-led Good Steward Business Certificate distribution about what constitutes a good business, to determine who will receive the certificate. That is, if your shutters are open, that's a great thing. If you keep the in front of your business and the back of your business relatively clean, that's a great thing, because even with being a special services district or a bid, you still have to clean out in front of your property, because the cleaners are not out there every day, all day. And traffic accumulation, you see that in our corridor as well. Then we're going to join for some cleanup activities within the district. We're counting on Keith to tell us where that help might be needed. So we have noticed that between Shelton Avenue, on Germantown Avenue, between Shelton up to Haynes, really never seems to be clean enough. And that's probably because of all the buses that pass through and the traffic that's there. So we know that that's going to be a focus of cleanup activity that day. In the past, we've worked with Bacon Hill neighbors to help with the dumping problem on Bacon Hill. And there may be another specific area that we'll clean. But we'll encourage anybody in this room who's concerned about cleanliness in Germantown and it being clean and beautiful to join us as a volunteer for an hour or so. And we'll have plenty of things for you, tasks for you to do if you want to join us for that day. We want to show that Germantown is really doing its share. I know that there are organizations that have cleanup activities that they're planning. So I know that Penn Knox is planning one. I see it because I get their newsletter. And there'll be others that are planning as well. I know that Bacon Hill is planning it because we contributed to their cleanup efforts every year. And then we'd like to have closing remarks for anyone that would like to talk about what's going on in Germantown. That may be our elected or appointed officials. The commissioner generally comes up this way, and he likes to say a few words. So hopefully that'll happen this year with some of our elected officials. And one other activity we're going to have that day is we want to make sure that we have water, fruit, that we can give to any volunteers that come out. So if you would like to make a donation, that's great. Generally, the way that we fund that is we ask area businesses, individuals to donate water, fruit, coffee, juice. And we definitely provide that for the students at Mastery Charter School. So that's the way that the day will look. And we welcome any volunteer. We will have instructions about what the day will look like as the day gets closer.
Thank you, Connie. The Communication and Outreach Committee, I mean, the biggest task there is to create an advisory or announcement about the staff changes. And that'll be posted on the website, on board, I'm sorry, staff change and board. And that'll be posted on the website and Facebook page. Okay. Any other business on the board? Anything I skipped? Okay. We're gonna open it up for public comment, and Jamar, maybe we can just go over the process so that we can